Hi, I'm Margaret from Margaret's Crafts. I wanted to welcome you to my knitting and crocheting section of my YouTube channel. Today I want to share with you, I don't have any crocheting, but I do have some knitting. I wanted to share with you what I'm working on, my whips, and what I finished, my finished objects. What I've been trying to do is get all of my objects that were all whips and turn them into finished items. So I've been taking one at a time and concentrating on them to get it all done. And one of the things that I have done, I've completed, was the brown horseshoe throw by Amy Paulison. I used the US 11 or 8.0 millimeters, and the yarn that I used is Dreamweavers in brown. And I don't remember exactly where my thing came off, but I was down here somewhere. So I did finish it off. I put the top ribbing on. And then I picked up both sides and put the ribbing along the sides. So here it is finished. So it's all done. And I know I've been saying the whole time I've been working on this that I was making this for my husband. And after I got while I was still working on this one, and I had finished my Scrappy Granny stripe blanket, he was using that one and fell in love with that one and asked me if I didn't mind switching with him, because that one was supposed to be mine and this one is his. So now this one's mine and that one's his. So that's one big one off my needles. The next thing that I had been working on that I finished to completion was I call them her 58 Chevy socks. I used the US 5.1. I'm sorry, I used the US 1.5 or 2.5 millimeter. I did the 58 Chevy socks by Roberta Mercer. And it's in a book called Socks a la Carte, Two Toes Up. And it's by Opal. The yarn is the Opal Illusions. And I did it in colorway 9315. And here's my socks. I do have two. The last time on each of these socks, I had did the cuff and put the heel in. So I did the rest of the way down the heel and put the toe in. And I did that on both of them because that's where I was on both of them. So all I did was I did the 58 Chevy pattern on the top. First I did a 2x2 ribbing, then the 58 Chevy pattern. And then I didn't continue that down the foot. I just did a stockinette foot. And the Fish Lips Kiss heel. And my normal toe, a little altered of the Hermione Everyday Socks toe. I just altered a little bit to the way I like it. And that's it. All done. So another pair of my socks are done. And the last thing that I was working on was a new start. It wasn't a new start. I had started it was a recent start. And I just call them my Handspun Mittens. And the pattern is called Mittens for All by Jody Lawanda. And it's from a red heart pattern. And what I did was, this is out of my Handspun. So the fiber that I used was Win Aaron's Natural Fibers and Domestic Targee, and that's this one right here. And then I used a pencil roving in salmon. And I believe I purchased this from Amazon. I can't remember who. And I have, both of my mittens are done. And I just changed up the pattern a little bit. I did a 1x1 ribbing. That's the correct coloring. But I wanted to show you up close. I did a 1x1 ribbing. And then it's just a stockinette pattern and a decrease for the fingers. But what I did was a little bit different. I made my thumb a little longer, and I made the body of my mitt a little longer so it fits better. Because it was making it come, it had a little gap in between there, and I wanted it all the way down. So not bad. This is some of my first handspun. I think this was like my third and fourth skein. So it is bulky yarn, and it is uneven. I had some thick and thin spots, but after like when I got to a really thick spot, I just kind of like twisted it in my hand when I was knitting with it to bring it down to the consistency of the other yarn, and it seems like it worked. It's not bad at all. I'm very proud of these. These were my first hand-spun, hand-knit mittens. And I have enough, I believe, to do possibly a hat and do the ribbing. Or I was thinking, since the ribbing gets pulled on a lot, I didn't know if I wanted the hand-spun. Find a coordinating yarn to use, store-bought yarn to use for the ribbing, and then stripe it in these two colors, big color blocks of those two colors. And they are super warm because they are out of the bulky. So that's all done. And those are all of my whips. This is going to be a very short, because I've been concentrating on finishing one item at a time. And then I've been spinning, and not much cross stitching, but I did get a little of it done. And mainly I've been just spinning and knitting. And the last thing that I have that's a whip is a pair of socks for my husband. And I call it Another Twist, because it's the sock pattern that he likes. And it was a pattern from the Socks a la carte 2 Toes Up book that I have. And for his socks, I use a US 2 or 2.75 millimeter. And I use the Peyton's Croy socks and tourmaline stripes. They're in my llama bag. And when I did these the last time, let's see, on this sock, I was right up to here in the leg. So I finished down the rest of the leg and put the heel in. And for the heel, I know I used a Cascade Heritage in charcoal. And for the back of his heel, because he never seems to mess up the back of his heel, I just used the Cascade Heritage. But for the bottom of his heel, where he seems like he gets all of his holes, or just in the bottom of his heel, I used some of that reinforcement thread and held it with my sock yarn, and just did the bottom. I did like little rows of the back to cover his whole bottom of his heel. You can see where it starts and stops. And I can show you this way, the difference color, because I picked up I used a black. And finished the heel out. And then for his heel, I saw this on someone else's blog or podcast, that for the Fish Lips Kiss heel, to make it a little bit wider, easier to step into, she increases it 4 stitches, right before you start your heel. I picked up the 4 stitches 2 rows before the heel started. And I used them all, and I still came down to my same amount of stitches that I leave on from the, without adding the extra 4 stitches. So you have 2 stitches on each side extra. And then when I got down to the last row here, when I reconnected my yarn for my, to go down the foot, then I decreased the 4 stitches then and came back down to my right number of stitches to do his foot in. And I did that on both the socks. This sock had been down to just a little bit before the heel. And so I did do the same thing with the heel, increases, and put the reinforcement thread in the bottom. I don't need it I don't use it for the whole bottom of the foot, just the bottom of the heel. That's where he gets his holes in. And then I did start down the foot on this one. So this is the main thing that I'm concentrating on now as far as my knitting and crocheting. And when I get these done, then I'm going to pick up, and I want to make a hat to match my gloves. And I have some yarn that I spun that I want to make a shawl out of. So I'm going to concentrate on those 2 things. And then I had bought yarn last year. Well, I guess I'm getting into what's coming up. I had bought yarn last year to make each of my sons a nice fit throw like I had made ours. But I'm going to make theirs on my Addie King size, make those tubes and sew the tubes up together. Well, that's what I'm going to try. I'm going to make the length that I want that my tubes to be. I'm going to make 2 of them, and I'm going to see how I like joining them. If it's okay, then I'll use that and then put a border on the top and the bottom. If I don't like how that's coming out, then I'm just going to make them a corner to corner where I can go halfway up when I use half my yarn, and then start coming down the other way with the second half of the yarn. So I want to use up all the yarn that I bought for them to make their blankets out of. And that's what I have for my finished items. Hopefully these will be done when I come back again, and I'll have something new to show you. And I haven't really purchased any yarn. I've been purchasing fiber because I have enough yarn, and my fiber I'm making into yarn, and I want to use that. So the only other thing I've been purchasing, I found a few books. I have 4. The first book here I picked up at the Dollar Tree. There it is. Knit Florals. It has some very cute patterns in it, but I'm not going to do the extra floral. I love these socks, the pattern on this sock though. And it just has the floral put in it. So it's 25 contemporary flowered inspired designs. I'm going to leave the extra flowering off. And I just like how the designs are. So that's number 1. Number 2, I picked up, this book is at a store that we have here called Ollie's or Ollie's. And it was $3.99. And this is called Deborah Newton's Good Measure. Knit a Perfect Fit Every Time. And it's just, it has a lot of information in it for knitting. So I love that book. Then I picked up this one from the same store called Ollie's, and it's called Crochet Bears and Other Animals. It's 25 toys to crochet. And it has bears and mice, and let me see if it has an index. I don't want to show. It has the monkey, and it has monsters and ducks and chicks. A whole bunch of different ones, but I don't want to show the pattern. So I picked that up. This was $1.99. And the last one that I picked up is from Ollie's too, or Ollie's. And it's called the Modern Knit Mix Neck Effects, 30 Scarves and Cowls to Knit for Now, featuring Cascade Yarns Heritage. And that's the book that I have. And this one was $1.99. And it has some beautiful patterns in it. I love this one down here. So that's all that I have to share with you today. Thank you very much for watching my videos. Bye.